The sun had just begun to rise in the quiet village of Umeze when Mazi Okoro stepped out of his mud house. His white hair looked like soft cotton. His back was slightly bent, but his steps were still strong. Birds sang from the trees and the wind whistled through the palm leaves. Children on their way to fetch water waved at him. "Mazi Okoro, good morning," they shouted. "Good morning, my children," he replied with a gentle smile. "Always speak the truth, no matter what. Lies are poison to the soul." Everyone in Umeze knew Mazi Okoro. He was 95 years old, but his eyes were clear and his voice still had strength. He had never told a lie in his life. People said that was the secret to his long life. Others said he was protected by the gods because he followed the way of the ancestors. Many had tried to test him over the years. Some gave him wrong change at the markets. Others brought him strange stories to see if he would add salt to them. But Mazi Okoro always spoke the truth. Always.
Through the sands and the sun's warm embrace, whispers of tales that time cannot erase. A duggo sings where the rivers roam. Stories of wonder will call you home. From the drum beats loud to the stars so bright, her voice rises bold in the heart of the night. Every story an adventure untold, a journey crafted in courage and gold. Africa tales by a duggo, she sings.
Hello everyone, my name is Adugo and you're watching the African Tales channel by Adugo. Before we dive into today's video, please kindly click on the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you will be notified whenever I upload a new video. Now let's get into the story. One day, something strange happened in the village. A goat was missing. It belonged to Chief Nnadozie, the richest man in the village. His goat, Nwankego, was no ordinary goat. It had been blessed by a priest and was said to bring wealth to the owner. When Chief Nnadozie found out that the Nwankego was gone, he was furious. "Find my goat or there will be trouble," he shouted at the villagers. "If it is not found by the next market day, I will bring in the police from the town." The village was in confusion. No one had seen the goat. Children stopped playing. Women whispered at the stream. Men gathered under the old Iroko tree, scratching their heads. Then someone said, "Why don't we ask Mazi Okoro? He sees everything." The next morning, a group of villagers walked to Mazi Okoro's house. He was sitting under his mango tree, peeling an orange. "Mazi Okoro," said the village youth leader, Obi, "you always speak the truth. Do you know what happened to Chief Nnadozie's goat?" Mazi Okoro looked up slowly. He wiped his hands on his wrapper and said calmly, "Yes, I saw what happened to the goat. Gaps flew through the air like dry leaves in Harmattan." "Tell us, Mazi," Obi urged. "Who took the goat?" Mazi Okoro closed his eyes for a moment. The air around them grew still. Even the birds stopped singing. "I saw who took the goat," he said at last. "But if I speak the truth, it will shake this village to its root." The silence was thick like garri soaking in water. No one moved. "You must speak," said the women leader, Mama Ifeoma. "This village needs your truth." Mazi Okoro stood up slowly. "Follow me," he said. They followed him through the narrow paths, past the stream, past the yam barns, until they reached the back of Chief Nnadozie's compound. There, in a small corner behind the chicken coop, was a hole dug into the ground, covered with dried leaves and old sacks. "Dig here," Mazi said. The villagers dug. Not long after, they pulled out something strange. It was Nwankego, but it wasn't alive. The goat had been killed and carefully hidden. Chief Nnadozie arrived, panting, eyes wide. "My goat! Who did this?" Mazi Okoro looked into his eyes. "You did, Chief," he said. The crowd gasped. Some even stepped back. Chief Nnadoze's mouth opened, then closed. What do you mean? He stammered. I saw you in the night. You hid the goat here. You wore black clothes and moved like a thief. You thought no one would see, but I did. The chief's face changed. You are lying, he shouted. Mazi Okoro stood firm. I do not lie. You know this. A strange sound filled the air. Not thunder, not wind, but a hush that seemed to come from the earth itself. Then Chief Nnadozie fell to his knees. I had to, he cried. The priest said the goat's power was growing too strong. I feared it would turn on me. The villagers watched in shock. Some whispered about curses, others about greed. Obi stepped forward. You lied to us, chief. You brought fear into the village. Mazi Okoro sighed. Lies always bring fear, but the truth may bring pain before peace. Later that evening, Mazi Okoro sat by his fire. His grandson, Kene, sat beside him. Papa, Kene said softly, why do you always tell the truth, even when it brings trouble? Mazi Okoro looked at the boy. Because truth is light, lies are darkness. If I must walk this earth, I will walk in light. Kene nodded. I want to walk in light too. Mazi Okoro smiled. Then you must be strong. For truth is not easy, but it is the only way. As the stars blinked above and the fire cracked softly, a shadow moved quietly in the trees. Someone was watching, someone who didn't like what Mazi Okoro had done. The next morning, the village was not the same. Whispers followed Mazi Okoro wherever he went. Some villagers praised him, others were silent, and a few began to fear him. You see how he shamed the chief? One man said. Yes, another replied. That kind of truth can burn like fire. Mazi Okoro knew. He felt the shift in the air like a storm hiding behind blue sky. He was not afraid. But Kene, his grandson, noticed something strange. That night, as they ate roasted yam and palm oil, Kene spoke quietly. Papa, someone is watching our house. I saw a man near the banana trees. He wore a hat and covered his face. Mazi Okoro nodded slowly. Did he say anything? No, but he had something long in his hand. Maybe a stick, or maybe something else. Mazi Okoro's face hardened like old wood. Thank you, my son. You have sharp eyes. Later that night, Mazi Okoro did not sleep. He stayed by the window, listening, and just before the cock crowed, he heard footsteps, soft, careful like a thief. He stepped outside, holding only his lantern. Who is there? He asked. No answer. I speak the truth, even to the wind, he said. Show yourself. A shadow moved from behind the tree. It was Obiora, one of Chief Nnadoze's cousins. A tall man with angry eyes and strong arms. Mazi, Obiora said in a low voice, you should have kept quiet. You have caused shame to my family. I spoke the truth, Mazi replied. Your cousin lied. The village deserved to know. Obiora stepped closer. Old man, not every truth must be told. Sometimes, silence is wiser. Mazi Okoro looked him in the eye. Then, may the gods strike me down if I ever lie. Obiora raised his hand as if to strike. But something strange happened. A rustle came from the trees. Then a loud cry. A bird flew out, screaming, and the lantern in Mazi's hand flickered, then grew brighter. Obiora froze. You are protected, he muttered. By spirits? I am protected by truth, Mazi said quietly. Obiora turned and ran into the night like a frightened dog. The next day, Mazi Okoro called the elders. He told them everything. Obi, the youth leader, was angry. They are trying to scare you. This cannot continue. But Mazi Okoro raised his hand. Let me speak to the people. Let me remind them why the truth must be protected. So the elders agreed. A village meeting was called at the square under the big Iroko tree. When Mazi Okoro stood to speak, his voice was strong like the Ogene drum. I am not afraid, he said. Truth has no hiding place. If we do not speak the truth, we lose ourselves. We become like blind men in the forest. The crowd was silent. Even if the truth hurts, he continued, it heals better than a lie that comforts. A few clapped. Some nodded, but not all. Chief Nnadozie did not come, but his wife did. and she carried a small basket covered with white cloth. "Mazi Okoro," she said with shaking hand, "you saved us from a greater shame. My husband has fallen ill. He has been hearing voices since that night. He says the goat spirit follows him." Gaps filled the square. She opened the basket. Inside was a calabash filled with kola nuts, palm oil and feathers. "This is our peace offering. Please forgive him." Mazi Okoro took the basket, then looked at her deeply. "Tell him," he said gently, "that truth must be faced, not feared. Only then will the spirit leave him." The villagers were quiet as she walked away, but behind the silence, jealousy brewed. A darker plan was forming, one that would test Mazi Okoro's truth more than ever before. The rainy season began with heavy clouds and nights full of thunder, the kind of rain that made even the strongest palm trees bow. But inside Mazi Okoro's house, the air was calm. Kenneth sat by the hearth, playing with his carved wooden lion, while Mazi Okoro brewed herbs in a clay pot. Just as the wind howled outside, there came a knock at the door, slow, unsure. Mazi Okoro opened the door. Standing there was a young woman soaked to the bone, her wrapper clinging to her skin. Her eyes were red from crying. "Please, Mazi," she said, kneeling at his feet, "I need your help." He lifted her up gently and gave her a dry wrapper to cover herself. "Come inside, child. Tell me what troubles you." "My name is Adeze," she said softly. "I am from the next village, Umofia. My father is missing. He went to sell yams last week and never came back." Mazi Okoro nodded. "Did he pass through our village?" "Yes," she whispered. "He was last seen here. But when I asked around, people grew quiet. One old man even warned me not to ask again." The room went still. "Strange things have been happening," she continued. "Another man went missing last month. Some say a secret cult has returned. Others say the forest spirits are angry." Mazi Okoro's eyes narrowed. Fear spreads fast when truth is hidden. She knelt again. "Mazi, they say you can see what others don't. Please, find my father." Kenneth gripped his grandfather's hand. "Will you help her, Papa?" "I must," Mazi said. "The truth is calling." The next day, he visited the elders. He told them about the missing man. Some nodded in concern, but others exchanged glances and said nothing. "Have you heard such talk before?" he asked. Elder Wankibe coughed. "The forest has become strange lately. Hunters hear drums at night. Some say a masked figure walks the path to the abandoned shrine." Obi leaned forward. "Should we search the forest?" But Wankibe shook his head. "No one dares go near the shrine." Mazi Okoro stood. "Then I will go." Gaps filled the room. "You are old, Mazi," one elder protested. "That forest is cursed." "I am old, yes," he replied calmly. "But my eyes still see, and the truth cannot hide from me." That night, before the moon rose, Mazi Okoro lit a small torch, said a quiet prayer to his ancestors, and stepped into the forest. Kenneth wanted to follow, but he was told to stay behind. The trees whispered secrets. Owls hooted like messengers in the dark. And then he heard it. Drums. Faint but steady, not the kind played at festivals. These drums were cold and hollow, like a warning. Mazi Okoro followed the sound deeper and deeper, past the fallen tree, past the stream with red sand. Then he saw something strange. A light, faint and flickering. He stepped closer, and what he saw froze his bones. 3 men in black robes stood around a fire. One of them held a carved wooden staff. Another held a bowl with what looked like blood. But the third, he wore a mask with a crocodile face, and around his neck was a necklace made of goat horn. Mazi Okoro recognized the necklace. It had belonged to Chief Nnadozie. His heart beat harder. He stepped on a twig. Crack! The drummer stopped. The masked man turned sharply. "Who is there?" he barked. Mazi Okoro raised his torch high. "I am the one who sees truth, and now I have seen yours." The torchlight danced in Mazi Okoro's hand, casting long shadows that wobbled like spirits on the shrine wall. The 3 men froze. The fire in the center crackled. hissing as if it's too hard secrets to hide. Mazi Okoro, the man with the crocodile mask, said in a voice rough like gravel. You should not be here. I go wherever truth hides, Mazi replied, his voice firm but calm. The second man, younger with eyes that looked like fireflies trapped in a bottle, moved forward. How did you find us? I followed the pain in a daughter's heart, Mazi Okoro said. I came looking for Adeze's father. At the sound of her name, the man with the blood bowl flinched. So you know, the masked leader said. But what will you do now? You are just one old man. Mazi Okoro raised his chin. Old, yes, but truth works with me. And when truth works, lies run. A strange wind blew through the shrine. The fire dimmed for a moment. The masked man stepped forward. You are brave or foolish. You are afraid, Mazi answered, even with your mask. The three men exchanged glances. You should go, said the youngest, before something bad happened. Something bad already happened, Mazi Okoro said. You kidnapped innocent men. You hid in shadows like cowards. But now the light has come. Suddenly the masked man laughed. It was not a happy laugh. It was sharp, bitter, like a cracked gong. You think you've won because you found us? You know nothing, Mazi. This goes deeper than a missing man. The blood you seek had already touched the soil. Mazi Okoro's hand trembled, but he stood tall. Where is he? He asked. The man with the blood bowl pointed at a covered mound behind the shrine. Mazi Okoro walked over, pulled away the mats, and there he was. Adeze's father, alive but tired, weak but breathing. The old man dropped to one knee and began to untie the ropes. No! The masked man shouted. You cannot take him. He is part of our offering. But something happened then, something no one expected. The fire in the middle exploded into sparks, and a voice deep and thunderous came from the trees. You cannot hide truth in darkness forever. The men screamed and ran, dropping their bows, their staff, their courage. Mazi Okoro lifted the half-conscious man onto his shoulders. His back ached, his breath was short, but he carried him all the way back to the village. When they reached the square, the cock crowed. Dawn had come. Villagers came running. When they saw Adeze's father, they wept. Kene hugged his grandfather tight. Mazi, are you alright? I am, he whispered, but there is still more to uncover. Obi arrived with other youths. Who did this? Mazi Okoro shook his head. I saw their faces. One wore a mask that belonged to Chief Nnadozie, but the other two, they are men from our village. The elders gathered quickly. The council called an emergency meeting. Mazi Okoro spoke, describing what he saw. Some elders looked uneasy, others pretended to be shocked. But Elder Nwakibe's hands shook. Sweat rolled down his forehead, even though the morning was cold. You look troubled, Mazi Okoro said, his eyes on him. The old man could not speak. He stood and left the meeting. Obi stood. We must investigate every elder. This darkness may be deeper than we thought. But Mazi Okoro raised his hand. No, my son, we must be patient. Evil eats itself from the inside. It will show its true face soon. And as he spoke those words, a strange bird landed on the iroko tree. It was black with one white eye. It cried once, then flew off. The villagers looked at one another. The elders whispered, and Mazi Okoro knew. The truth he had just uncovered was only the beginning. Something older than the shrine, older than even the village itself, was waking. That night, sleep refused to visit Mazi Okoro. He lay on his bamboo mat, staring at the palm-thatched ceiling, listening to the voice of the wind as it passed through the raffia eave. Kenneth slept beside him, coiled up like a small goat, unaware of the storm dancing outside his dreams. But Mazi Okoro felt it, not just in his bones, but in the air, the trees, the ground. Something ancient had stirred, something that had been quiet for many years, and now it watched him. By cock crow, he had already risen. He washed his face with cold water from clay pot, tied his wrapper, and sat under the udala tree in his backyard. As the fruit dropped beside him with a soft thud, his thoughts grew heavier. Soon, Kenneth joined him. "Papa," the boy said, rubbing his eyes, "do you think those bad men will come back?" Mazi Okoro nodded slowly. They were not acting alone. And the truth, once it burns your hands, either cleanses you or consumes you. Before Kenneth could speak again, the town crier's gong rang out across the village. Bo! 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 All elders and able men must gather at the Iroko tree. Something terrible has happened. Bo! Bo! Mazi Okoro and Kenneth reached the square quickly. Villagers gathered, whispering, holding their children close. A boy ran up shouting, "Elder Nwakibe is dead." A thick silence covered the square like harmattan fog. Mazi Okoro felt his heart tighten. "How?" he asked. The boy pointed towards the elder's compound. They say his mouth was filled with feathers. His eyes were wide open. And there was a sign carved into his door. Obi led the way, the machetes in his hand. Others followed. When they reached the compound, even the strongest among them gasped. Elder Nwakibe lay on his back, eyes staring into the sky, mouth stuffed with feathers soaked in palm oil. On his door was a strange mark, a spiral with 3 dots in the center. Mazi Okoro had seen it before, many years ago, but only in stories. "The Eke cult," he said, almost to himself. "What?" Obi turned to him. "The Eke cult? They were banned before I was born. My grandfather told me they lived deep in the earth. They punished truth speakers and protected powerful liars. Are they spirits?" "No," Mazi said. "They are worse. They are men who have given their souls to darkness and call it wisdom." The villagers began to panic. "What should we do?" Someone asked. "Who will protect us?" A man stepped forward, a quiet bearded farmer named Uche. "We must hide our children, close our doors at night, wait until this passes." "No," Mazi Okoro said, his voice sharp. "We must do what our fathers did not. We must drag the darkness into the light." Obi nodded. "We will form night guards, search the forest, protect the weak." But even as they spoke, Mazi Okoro knew this was no longer just about missing men or strange shrines. This was war, between truth and falsehood, between light and the oldest shadows in the land. That evening, while others prepared weapons and built watchfires, Mazi Okoro sat with the priestess of the river, Mami Foma. Her eyes were cloudy with age, but her spirit was sharp. "I saw the bird," she told him. "The black one with a white eye. It only comes when the Eke have risen." "How do we stop them?" he asked. "You do not stop them with strength," she replied. "You stop them with truth so deep, it shakes even the stones beneath our feet." She reached into her gourd and pulled out a charm, a small wooden mask tied with red thread. "This was your grandfather's. He wore it when he stood alone against the Eke. Take it. You will need it." As Mazi Okoro took the charm, the ground beneath them trembled slightly. A sign. They were coming. And this time, they wouldn't hide behind masks.
Through the sands and the sun's warm embrace, whispers of tales that